and welcome to Put That Coffee Down, the freight sales show for closers. My name is Kevin Hill. I'm your host today, and I'm coming live from Mansfield, Texas, here at BCB Transport and BCB Live with the safety experts, Rick Larkin, President and CEO, right?
Yes, sir.
President and CEO of both BCB Transport and BCB Live.
Yeah, BCB Live, the most expensive hobby in the country. There's no doubt about it. We're the safest station in the nation, but it is an expensive hobby.
It is. It's certainly media and television is. We're here in your studio where you broadcast out every morning starting, 7 a.m.
Well, we changed it up, so now we broadcast on BCB Live. We broadcast at noon. We found out there was not a lot of news going on at 7 o'clock, so
True.
You get up, you're like, all right, we're ready to go. We're full of energy, and like nothing's happened yet, you know?
I know.
So you need something to happen. So we moved it to noon, but then we broadcast for live at noon, but then we do some other trucking companies at 9 o'clock in the morning and again at 1 and 3 in the afternoon.
You know what? Not everyone wakes up at 3:15 in the morning, right?
I know. We found that out too. It's like how y'all full of energy? I'm like, well, we start early. It's a trucking company.
Of course. So, and with the bright yellow safety vest is always, it's all about safety, communicating that to drivers. You do a live show.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit more about
Yeah,
it.
so BCB Live, what we do is we focus on safety. It stands for be safe, communicate, and if you can, be on time. It's important to us. It's when I wear these colors, it doesn't matter if I have a meeting with a bank. It doesn't matter if I'm at insurance meetings. I'm wearing this. It's like
a conference.
I'm telling
you,
there you go.
F3, I saw Rick
at a conference
walking by.
I mean, I'm gonna be about that because I want people to say, "Hey, what are you doing?" Because I want to make sure I have my opportunity to talk safety because our job on that trucking side, right? Our job on BCB Live is to make sure that we are getting people home safe, that we're also being good stewards of the highway, sharing it with other trucking companies to get them home safe, to get the four-wheelers home safe. Our job is to protect life. That's really all we have to do.
And that's very important. And it's the essence of safety, right?
Is.
It's protecting lives.
Yep.
But business-wise as well, it's a very smart decision to make.
There's no doubt we've seen a reduction in insurance premiums. You know, we're part of a captive insurance group, so we're held accountable to our numbers, and I love it, man. I'm telling you, if you practice what you preach, if you have a culture of safety, I think the answer is captive. I think the answer is bet on yourself.
Yes.
You know, and to make sure that the entire company knows and understands that we are all safety experts. We really are. And so we have to teach that, make sure that's part of what we do. Even, I'll tell you, Kevin, you know, if we can't truck a load, if the weather's too bad for a truck, I'm going to tell you something, we won't broker it out of our brokerage either. If it's too dangerous if the roads are too bad for one of our trucks, we will not broker that same load out to another carrier because it's unsafe for them as well.
You always have to do that, right?
You have to.
You have to think like that. I know not everyone does, but
yeah.
Certainly in life it's a very important decision, but certainly in business as well. I mean, it's nice when those those mesh up.
Oh,
and
yeah,
usually
for sure.
too, the best business decisions are the best life decisions.
Yeah,
too.
I think so. And again, I think the big challenge was, I'll throw it back out there, as who you were as a trucking company. I remember the day that roads were bad, and I heard somebody say, well, let's just broker it out. And for a minute, I was thinking, well, that's okay. And I was like, well, hold on a second. I mean, that goes against everything that we're saying we are. If we can't truck it, we can't broker. So our brokerage business and is, believe it or not, they're tuned to the weather. They're tuned to what's going on in the market. They're tuned to what's happening in this country, because if it's too windy for an asset, it's too windy for a broker as well.
Yeah. Let's talk about brokerage.
Gotcha.
We're sitting out here. We're sitting in your studio. The brokerage is right out there. We just toured your new TV studio that you're building there in downtown Mansfield, and you showed me the space for not a new broker, or I guess it is a new broker.
Yeah, I know, we call it, on the business plan, it's called like spot brokerage. I don't even know. It's still brokerage on that. But, for asset companies, and so we have assets and we have brokerage, and we have a decent brokerage side, $40 million of revenue on the brokerage side, but it's only with the customers that we haul with. It's not your typical broker. I mean, you walk out here and sometimes you're like, my God, is anybody alive? Where's the noise at?
It's quiet,
yes. Right? I always joke around. I think about Wolf of Wall Street. To me, that's what that brokerage. You're finding somebody throwing up against the wall. Where's the excitement at? Where's the noise at? But there, it's they're taking care of asset customers. It's a different mentality. But we, on that side, we don't add new customers. And so what we had to do was figure out, okay, for us to be able to do this and go after a new customer means we can't do it right here. It's not the same kind of people.
Or the culture.
Or the culture, yes.
Right? Or the atmosphere. And I think that's what you find in a lot of different companies that have assets, right? You have 300 trucks.
Yep.
$40 million gross revenue through the brokerage in the same building. That it's hard to branch out and grow and have that different culture, find different ways to entertain hustlers.
It is, and we're looking for hustlers. Let me tell you, at that new facility, we're starting it with nobody. I'm telling you, it's a brand new business. We're doing it again. We're going to start a business. We're going to start it with one broker at a time to bring in another. The brokers we're going to bring in, they're going to cold call. They're going to have to create their own book of business or come in with that book of business. I'm good either way. But it's a great opportunity for somebody to come in to make a great living, earn their money, and as we begin to grow that business, as that person begins to succeed, we're going to bring in broker 2, broker 3, broker 12, and that becomes their person that's kind of doing that dirty work, right? That tracking and tracing, that booking, that part of the business.
Calling on carriers.
There you go.
So when we talk about, everyone always talks about buy and sell and also cradle to the grave.
Yep.
But there's that middle ground, what they call pods.
Yep.
And that kind of came out of Chattanooga, I think a lot of times with Access America and the likes. And you see a lot of companies in Tennessee kind of doing that. And that's kind of what you're describing right here, right? The broker number 1 gets the number 2, they're scheduling, they're calling on carriers, they're doing that dirty work until they learn the market. And that's what it's really all about. You have to learn that market. Once you learn the market, that broker is going to be on the phone selling to the shippers. You're going to be taking a cut of that commission.
Man, it's like you've heard the story before. I like it.
I know, right? I know. Breaking it down like that it's great.
It really is.
Build that up.
I think that what you want is somebody. Number one, the hardest thing, I think in our industry to do is to really train somebody.
Yes.
I mean, it's just hard because why do I want to train somebody when they're taking my dollars and cents away? I could be on the phone doing it this way. Well, what I want to do is create, again, a great culture around training, around education, teaching them the things, what a POD is. Can we just assume somebody comes in and you mean you don't know what a POD is? ETA, how do you not know what that means? But take them in and train them how to do it. And then as you're creating success on this person, you really do, at the end of the day, I want to try to train you and get you away because I'm going to make money on your sales too.
Yeah, you want to train that person, that person's your team, right?
Yep.
You're going to be the leader of that team, and you're going to get a cut of the business.
Yep, and then I'm going to get broker number 18 coming in here, broker 20, broker 25. I believe this, and I'll ask you, so our model is created on somebody having the ability to sell about 200 loads a month. And I believe it's going to, I believe I'm giving myself 6 months per person to create that. Doable or not doable when you see things like that?
200, it's 2015 since I brokered a load. I was always doing flatbed, which is much lower volume, but 200 sounds about right. The time frame does, right? So if you come in as a freight broker in 6 months, if you're not enjoying it, you're probably not making it, or you're making enough sales, right? If you're not enjoying it, you're not making enough sales, and it's time to go find something else, whether that's voluntarily or involuntary, it doesn't really matter. After 6 months, you're either hustling, the grind, you're doing what you're doing, or it just all feels awkward to you, you don't really like it, and it's time for you to go out and sell something else, man.
That's a good point. And I tell people all the time, man, if hearing no or not getting a reply back, if that's going to hurt you, you may be in the wrong issue. Don't apply for me. I always say this right here. Eventually, you knock on enough doors, somebody's going to roll down their window and she's going to say, yes, I'd like to meet you, right? For a guy that's going out there. But, you've got to knock on enough doors. And I think this, too, it's more than just asking for freight. sometimes I think you've got to, again, know what to hear for. Know that you're listening, that, and this is where I believe CRMs kind of come in and help us out. You've got to still know what to listen for, that, Kevin's birthday is coming up, and it's the September the 1st, and you want to be able to send you those things. Know it. You want to be able to send that customer, hey, happy birthday, without asking for any freight. Sometimes believe that you have a relationship.
And if you're due coming in, that's what you really have to focus in on, right? You're looking for people who are focusing on that. Now, once you build up that 6 months, that year, you're listening for that always, right? But then you're listening for buying signals, buying phrases. You're looking for that business that you're not seeing, and just a little phrase from your customer will show you, intermodal. Wait, you're talking about rail? Let's talk about intermodal, right? You're talking about, a new warehouse opening up, right? Or needing warehouse space, right? We have warehouse.
I mean, so here you go. I know we're talking to me, but you've got to be able to. That takes training from day one. Yes. I mean, to everybody, the person that's your broker one. I mean, they have got to know what to hear and what to listen for, what to kind of follow up to. What ways are there out there? You tell me to help get these guys a little bit of knowledge on that.
Well, there's this show right here.
There you go.
A little bit of a sell show, but yeah, you have to know the market, right? And I tell you what, I went through finance. Came to truck brokering, and it was the hardest industry to learn, right?
Wow.
Because, and this was before Freightways.
Yep.
So I could go on Bloomberg, I could go on Financial Times, Wall Street Journal, read and learn about M&A or whatever. In 2013 in trucking, it was hard to learn about the market except for the people around you, which sometimes that's good, sometimes that's not so good, depending on who you have around you. But you have to be intellectually curious, too, I think. Because it's a great market. It's a fun
great
market. It's the closest thing to a free market that people like us can touch.
No, I'm gonna agree with you, and I think I'll go into you mentioned Sonar. You think about values of tools and how you, a broker, how you, a logistics professional, can use that information to give your shipper. And again, I'm not talking about the shippers, the shippers that have that the people in there that do all that, right? I'm talking about the shippers that ship out 1-2 loads a week, 5 loads a month. They don't have that knowledge base right there. For you to be able to come to them and say, hey, it looks like this market's a great market right now, expect your rates. They would love to, because they don't know why the rates are what they are.
And a lot of those 1 or 2 or maybe 3 or 4 truckload shippers per week, they're not going to the same location. They're going to anywhere from Boise, Idaho. One customer ordered Boise to Dallas, Texas, to who knows, in North Carolina. You don't know the market. You don't know what you're doing. But imparting that knowledge, making them a partner, that's how you build that trust and take 100% of that freight, because that's doable.
That is so doable, and I tell you, that's all hard. I tell that to people, our people out here, and again, it's probably why we're going to a new one here, because they don't understand, they don't believe that. It is possible to get 100% of that person's freight, where you are that phone call. They're calling you at 6 o'clock at night saying, hey, I got a load in 2 weeks. Can you do that? Or eventually just start sending them over to you, and you get everything, and they're trusting you that you're not going to kill them on the rates.
Exactly.
Right?
Or that 6 p.m. hot load that had to go out because the manufacturing got hung up and delayed. They had to repair something, and
sounds like money.
I know, right? It really does. If that customer doesn't get it at this time, they're in a lot of hot water. Who are we going to call? You want to be that person.
You want to be that person, and I also say this too. It's when your customer can get mad at you, when your customer can. When you've been late, and again, I say you just tell them you're running late. Don't use the broke down truck. I mean, just tell them the reason why your driver got tired. It is what it is. They got sick. Something happened. Miscommunication. They were mad at you. Something happened. Just tell them what it is, because I think, again, your customers are they going to get mad? They may get mad at you. But you know what? I tell people all the time, when your customer can when they can call you up and you can get a good cussing out, that means they like you and they trust you.
Exactly.
They feel comfortable enough to take out all that anger because they got it from somebody else. And they're taking it out on you. And you know what? just take it. I mean, they trust you enough they can do that with you.
That's a really great point. I mean, a really perfect point is that, if they're really mad at you, they're never going to use it again. They're not going to cuss you out. They're just going to ghost you, basically. Right?
They will ghost you on that. And I also say this is, and again, I'm talking this because I'm kind of talking to our new brokers. All right, because I'm probably going to have them watch this show right here. Because here's the other thing is that you got to remember is that never, ever, ever does a customer not use you for what happened last time. There's been a history before.
Yes.
Never did it really. They're never going to use this again because we were late this time. Well, it wasn't that load that caused them that. Mm-hmm. It was the other 15 you were late on that maybe we didn't react the right way. Maybe we didn't switch carriers. Maybe we didn't change a process in place. It's never really that one load. And I think sometimes people always gravitate to that. I'm a big believer in the root cause. Okay, well, they didn't leave you because that one load gave them 98% service. Mm-hmm. There's something else that happened. What happened? Talking through that, doing your own root cause analysis on anything you mess up on. I tell it to the people here, and I do believe it. There's nothing wrong with sucking as long as you know where you suck, because then you can fix it. It's when you don't know, that you suck somewhere, you keep doing the same thing.
You do, yes. You don't know what mistake to fix, so you don't fix any mistakes, and you end up losing customers. So we have, how about competitiveness? I mean, we're in Texas, got big high schools all around. I think Noah Syndergaard's from Midlothian.
Right, no, he's Mansfield. He's a Mansfield guy, yep, up the road here.
I'm a Mets fan. So
all right, there you go.
So you have a lot of natural athletes down here, competitive people.
Yeah, a lot of, I just think competition, even in general, is what you want in here. But when you think about the business here, the weird thing is there's not a lot of trucking companies based out of Dallas area, Fort Worth area, and that's where we are. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot based. There's a lot that run through here. There's terminals here, but you don't have, you have Stevens on the reefer side. You have a couple other ones, but you know what? BCB Transport, all of a sudden, based out of Mansfield, Texas, is one of the larger carriers based out of this area.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy for me to even say that and believe it, but we really are. And we have warehousing. Mm-hmm. We have intermodal. We do intermodal. We're building, and you saw the land out there, we're building another 205,000 square foot. So if you have some freight, you're looking for, it's not sold yet. So the warehouse business, can I tell you, you can't even sell that thing. You can't even begin leasing it out. Nobody really wants to talk about it, especially I think in any market, but especially here, until you're putting walls up. Okay. Or you're starting to put garage doors in. It's just I know it's kind of like if you build it, it's like Field of Dreams out here. It's a field right now. We're going to build something, but it's not sold yet.
That'll give me a heart attack. 200,000 square feet. I can't sell anything until I spent 95% of the money to build it.
It's insane. Nobody wants to talk about it until right now. It's just grass. We have pictures of it, what it looks like, and it's amazing. Everybody's like, tell us when you're a month away. Come back and talk to us. We'll see if we want it or not.
I have a quick question for you. Do you compete more against yourself or against other people?
I would say probably more against ourselves on that side, and I think that's with everything we do. I think we want to make sure that we find ways. I'm going to tell you, our competitive is this: find a way to say yes.
Yes.
That's what I say in what we do. Be so competitive. You're going to find a way to be on time. That doesn't mean you run late. That means you find a way to find another carrier, to be creative and find a way to say yes, to find a way to make it happen. I say it's the same thing when you're getting a load. I'm not saying to lose money on a load, but find a way to say yes. Find a way to take that load that you've never gone to before. It doesn't mean you price it cheap. Mm-hmm. You want, if you're a shipper out there and I'm talking to you and I'm always your yes guy and you're not looking at the bills, it's getting covered. You're assuming I'm making money on some, losing some on the other. You're going to keep going to me. Mm-hmm. But if I tell you, no, we don't do that. No, well, guess what? You're going to quit calling me at some point. You're going to go to the next yes guy. But yes doesn't mean cheap.
No, it does not.
It doesn't mean cheap. It doesn't mean lose money. It means you find a way to service find a way to take care, find a way to make that happen. Because if you're a shipper out there, again, my competitive says, I'm your only call. As a matter of fact, Brian, my business partner, Big Blue on the show, he will. I mean, he's 6'4". If you're giving freight to somebody else, he's knocking on your door. Hey, what's going on, man? I'm Big Blue. You're supposed to give me all the freight. What are you doing calling somebody else? He gets personal, about competitive, right?
That's good.
I agree.
That's really good. And I think challenging yourself to define that yes, right? You don't have to look at the competition. The competition doesn't matter at that point. The competition doesn't matter. Is what you can do to add the most value, right? And finding that yes, and that's competing and challenging yourself. And I think that's where, that's where success comes from. Not comparing yourself to the carrier down the street or the freight brokers down the street and what they do. Who cares?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you can solve the solution yourself. Putting pieces together, it doesn't matter what anybody else does.
And don't forget to, and I remind myself this all the time, is let's not forget about a thing called technology. We've got technology out there. Sometimes you want to say, so for on our truck side, for example, the driver should have called us and told us they're running late. Mm-hmm. And my answer to them is like, they could have called you, but you have technology that's screaming at you yesterday saying, there's no chance this guy's making it tomorrow. You just chose not to believe it, to use that technology. Even on the brokerage side, we have that same opportunity, whether you're using Fork Kites, Project 44, however you're doing your thing. You have a way to track that freight out there to take that opportunity away and to create notifications to you to let you know that load is running late. And you don't need sometimes to go back to the old school and say, well, why didn't you call me? You really knew it already.
Yeah, and being a freight broker seat myself, you kind of know a day out that is probably not going to happen. Something miraculous or something illegal has to happen for it, and so you just put it off until the last minute. And you do that a couple times, and it's like, well, that's not the right way.
I'm going to ask you, because I'm going to go back, put your freight broker hat in 2015. You knew at the time you were talking to that driver that he or she wasn't going to make that. You didn't need to wait until tomorrow. You could hear it in the voice.
I know, right? Yeah, you just knew.
You knew it.
You knew what was going to happen, and you're like, well, I'll just worry about it tomorrow. That doesn't really work.
Yeah, I mean, times really have changed that technology side where you can't say that. It's all electronic now. Mm-hmm. I think that one of the things, and I'm kind of go off here a little bit, but I was talking to a major shipper today and yesterday, and what they're wanting to do is go back and they want to compare the rates from 2016 all the way to current, and they want to try to find that. And what I told them is that 2016, there was no data, man. I mean, there was just no data. It took us until electronic logs to happen before data became kind of real. Yeah. And heck, Sonar Freightways was one of the first group that really got that data ready.
And that was 2018.
Yeah, 2018.
That's when data set started. Yeah, so going back to 2016, comparing that to 2022,
can't
2023, no, you can't.
Yeah, I mean, you just cannot do it at all. So no, it's and I think too, it's when you can educate people like that, whether it's small shipper or large shipper. I think they come back. There's something different about these guys. I mean, how you explain the data to them, because I think everybody has somebody's got a job to make sure that load gets shipped out under the right amount of money, whatever it is. And I think it's our job as brokers, our job as logistics people, to get into here and to find a way to do it, and to do it profitably for us and economically for them. It is a fine line.
So final question.
Yes.
2023, what's your outlook? How are you feeling?
All right, so 2023, oh man, so 2023 I think going to look a lot like 2019. I think it's going to look a lot like 2019 in the volume side of the business. When we talk about outbound tender freight, I think we're going to hang out that 10,500 mark. It's still going to be decent amount of freight. The difference between 2019 and 2023 is the fact that large trucking companies, we couldn't go out there and buy a bunch of trucks. We're under allocation. We sold a lot of our older equipment off last year, so we can't mess the market up. It's going to be a tight market still, I believe. I think if you have contracts, you're a larger carrier, you're going to be fine. If you're living on that spot market freight, I will say you're in trouble. I just believe if you're relying on spot market freight, I don't think there's going to be a big market for that at all in 2023. I think you're going to need to go meet up or go back and be an independent contractor leased on to a company, to be out there on your own trying to do all this. fighting for those cheap rates, it's going to be tough.
It is. It's going to be tough. I agree with everything you said. That's my outlook for
All right.
2023. I don't know what's going to happen. I think it's going to be a lot like 2019. Something's going to happen at some point. Who knows what it is? There you go. But it's always interesting when you start talking about 2018 and kind of the rush of new capacity that came in, and 2020, 2021, where you're limited on everything.
Yep.
And by somewhat dumb luck, trucking didn't mess up those 2 years.
Yeah, it was
Like
it was dumb luck. There's no doubt about it. We weren't that good.
You just have to be put in a straitjacket so you don't screw up a good market.
Oh man, thank goodness. Thank goodness for allocation, because we couldn't jack up this market. It would have really been bad. I'm going to tell you, it would have been bad.
It would have been. It would have been. Great being here. Thanks for having me come in.
Thank you for coming down.
Thanks for the studio tour. Great things for BCB Live and BCB Transport in 2023. That I can guarantee.
Looking forward to
and
it.
that wraps it up this episode.
All right.
Put that coffee down.
It's down. Kev,
It's down.
appreciate it.
You bet.